Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello class, welcome back with me, Miss Juliana. Today I'm going to tell you history of English literature. This is in the late Victorian era. Okay, I'm here to explain the fourth material from the late Victorian era. The first one is introduction. In this introduction, there are some explanation or a short explanation about late Victorian era, and the second one is characteristic of this era. And the third one is characteristic of the work at this era, and the last one is the famous author and the masterpiece work at the late Victorian era. Okay, let's begin with the introduction. This is the explanation, short explanation about late Victorian era. Late Victorian era was a time of growth and change in America. Advances in building technology such as the development of a balance framing and factory-built architectural components made it easier to build larger, more complex and more decorative structures. The late Victorian era covers the latter half of the 19th century for a position of the reign Britain's Queen Victoria from 1837 until 1901, for which this era named. During the Victorian era, Britain was a powerful nation with a rich culture. It has a stable government, a growing state, and an expanding franchise. It also controlled a large empire, and it was wealthy, in part because of its degree of industrialization and its imperial holdings, and in spite of the fact that 3/4 or more of its population was working class. Late in this era, Britain began to decline as a global political and economic power. Relative to other major powers, particularly the United States, but this decline was not acutely noticeable until after World War II. The second one is characteristics of the late Victorian era. First, high growth in population. During Victoria's reign, the population of England more than doubled from 14 millions to 32 millions. And the second one is significant improvements in technology. The Victorian era slightly overlaps with Britain's Industrial Revolution, which was big change to the way that people lived, worked, and traveled. These improvements in technology offered a lot of opportunities for the people in England, but also represented a major upheaval in regards to how people lived their lives and interacted with the world. The third one is class. The Victorians were super status conscious between the working class and the upper class, towards the cat-cow middle class, and with the middle class growing in the 19th century, there were suddenly more class gradation to keep track of. And the fourth one is poor condition for the working class. The Industrial Revolution led to the distance between the haves and have-nots growing rapidly, and many people, especially like artists and writers, felt obligated to speak out against what they believed to be societal injustice. Next is characteristic of the work. The first one is novel, which is a dominant literary form social problem, and then poetry. This is influenced by romantic period. Dramatic monologue, a lyric poem in the voice of a speaker who is not the poet. The third one is drama, which is frivolous, romantic, witty, more contemporary values or satirical. And the next is non-fiction, which is essay, criticism, history, biography, newspaper, and magazine. Next is famous author and the masterpiece work at late Victorian era. The author Charles Jones Hapham Dickens was born on 7th February 1812 in Llanphirm. He was born to John and Elizabeth Dickens. Dickens, from 1812 until 1870, created some of the most memorable characteristics in English literature. while also criticizing the world's excess of a Victorian society. He was a British novelist, generally considered the greatest of the Victorian era. And the next, this is his masterpiece work, Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist is the title of his second novel of Charles Dickens' book published in 1838 and becomes his masterpiece novel at that time. This novel tells of an orphan named Oliver Twist who lived in England in 1830. Through this novel, Dickens raises the theme of poverty, social class, and violence that occurred in the industry of the Industrial Revolution in the United Kingdom. In the next slide is there are some lessons from late Victorian era that we can take. The first one is daily chores were not easy. Schooling was a luxury. Medical science was far from good and reliable. And the fourth one is everyone was expected to contribute, including the children. Life was hard unless you were rich. Pioneering and homesteading was dangerous ordeal. Okay, that's all for my presentation slide today. I hope you can enjoy and learn some lesson from my video. And thank you so much for your attention and see you next time.